All right, fellas, welcome back to Lockdown Soccer. I am sick, but I'm still turning up for work. Jadon Sancho, learn a thing about this. With that said, let's get locked in, fellas. All right, fellas, it's big game preview time. That was a mouthful. Newcastle versus Manchester United. We're in a little bit of a hot form.
Yeah. I mean, if you could say that, I'm scared to say that as a United fan anytime.
It's the most unconvincing run of hot form. Before I get into my predictions, I want to hear what you have to say. Where does this game... what's the make or break?
Oh, man. It's just one of those games where I think both teams' weaknesses fits into the strengths of the other team. So,
Talk to me.
I think... Well, I'm watching, especially the last couple of games.
Yeah.
Newcastle... both teams are very injury-ridden anyway. Depleted squads. They barely have the starting 11s. But
one team doesn't look like it.
Yeah, that's also true. But I still think there's some big names missing on both teams that make big impacts.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at what's in the squad at the moment. I think Newcastle is one of those teams where direct wing players are very attacking options. I mean, what's his name? Antoine Emenyo or something? I've never heard of this bloke before in my life.
They're spawning guys.
He's at Bournemouth, man. He's like, I've got no clue where this bloke came from. Just looked like an absolute stud against Newcastle a couple of weeks ago. And you got the likes of Rashford and Garnacho, and they're as direct as it gets. United plays direct football, good counter-attacking football. It's a struggle area. Whereas where United's weakness is any team that can hold the ball for more than 50% of the game. Yeah. You can wear that defense down pretty easily by the second half, and Newcastle can do that. So I think...
You talk about United's weaknesses.
Yeah.
I think Newcastle is one of the scariest teams for Man United.
Yeah.
City is number one, but I was sort of making a list. And apart from City, Newcastle and Liverpool are the teams I'm scared of because they're the ones that will get into the duel and make you look like a bitch. Okay,
100%.
We don't have the guys to win duels.
Yep.
Okay, this is very Blacktown Spursy of Man United. Okay, we don't win duels. They don't win duels.
Yep.
That's just the way it is. And despite the injuries and all of that, you've got the solid defense. You've got a midfield structure that will make United lose out on a lot of 50-50s, and that will create that domination when you're talking about that Newcastle can win the game with.
Yeah.
On the flip side, though, do you think Newcastle can keep this up? They've had such a bad injury record. They've played well throughout, but do you see it like... What's your score prediction?
If I was an unbiased person, I would have said 2-2.
2-2?
Yep, but I am biased. So I'm going to go 3-2 United.
3-2.
No, I don't think Newcastle can keep it up. I'm just looking at what's happened in the last couple of games, and people are going down very easily. And even though they're coming back the next week, like look at Almiron. Almiron went down against Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Well, he started against Chelsea. That's fine. But like, it just looks like all of those players are on the absolute last legs. And I think they had 3 goalkeepers on the bench last game.
Yeah, they're just trying to get everyone into that squad.
They just need numbers on the bench, man. Like, as in the people who can play are playing. They're in a bit of a dire straits. I just can't see it lasting this game, let alone the whole season.
Okay, 3-2. Any other predictions?
For in the game?
Yeah.
I'm going to back Rashford to get another goal.
Okay.
I think he's one of those players where maybe he just needs to see one goal get to the back of the net. I know it was a penalty.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it's just what you need to see. Yeah. Like I said.
Look, it might be a little bit of false confidence, but I hate that I made fun of Arsenal so much. Yeah. Just all these charity penalties. And now we're doing it too. Yeah. So, Kai Havertz, just... you proved me wrong. You proved me wrong. 1 out of 38 times, you proved me wrong. Okay. Before I get into my prediction, I just want to bring up some notes.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
How does Manchester United break the deadlock of a 0-0 game? Okay. We saw it in the first game against Wolves. It was from a corner. Varane scores at the end.
Yep.
We saw it against Burnley. Johnny Evans puts a ball in for Fernandes. Volley, goal of the month.
Yep.
Against Sheffield, McTominay bit a pinball in the box. This might be the only time something came out of normal play.
Yep.
Fulham, last minute pot shot from Bruno.
Yep.
Luton, Lindelof from a corner. Mm-hmm. Everton, Garnacho with the fucking push cash.
Yep.
Consistently, you see time and time again, we rely on individual brilliance or set pieces to take a lead.
Yep.
And if you're going to come against a Newcastle team that will obviously set pieces aren't going to be somewhere we're going to be strong at compared to them.
Yeah.
Individual brilliance, are we going to have those moments going forward? Maybe through Rashford.
Yeah.
I don't see it being that much in terms of what we can do. And if this team shows the lack of mental resilience that we've shown this season, because there's been times we've been unlucky, but we've taken every one of those unlucky moments and made the absolute worst of it.
Yep.
So that's why I've got a 1-1 draw.
Oh, okay.
And a Rashford goal.
Yep.
And that is me being hopeful, fellas. Yep. That is me being hopeful because we've lost them twice. Mm-hmm. If Eric Ten Hag gets this team to lose to Newcastle 3 times in a row with no major tactical restructuring, I'm just disappointed. I'm not even sad.
Especially this Newcastle team who've are not the same.
The EFL Cup, man, it was so disappointing to go out in the Carabao against a second-string Newcastle team. Yes, we're rotating as well, but that's no excuse. That's no excuse. And every time you lose to these fuckwits, every time you lose to them, they start thinking it's a rivalry.
Yeah.
They start thinking it's a level playing. It's not.
It doesn't help that their fan base is almost as rivaled with United fans, especially when going like away games and stuff.
I like watching Newcastle as a neutral.
Yeah.
But slowly, it's not really a neutral feeling towards them at all.
No.
You know, I'm rooting for PSG this week, and hopefully they do the business by the time this video is out. It's that time of the video, fellas. FPL captains. Okay. You know, last week we decided, with our former member Jono, we decided no more Haaland. No more Haaland. He has caused too much chaos.
Yep.
I left about 1 week, and he may have scored 30 points if you captained him. That may have happened.
You have to perma captain Haaland.
You have to.
You can't.
But let's entertain the topic. Devil's advocate. Who do you have as FPL captain this week?
Looking at the fixtures, I think one of the more favourable ones will be Liverpool Fulham.
Okay.
So I would be backing Salah. I've looked a little bit at the stats of him, and I think the last 6 games he's played against Fulham, he scored in 4 games.
Okay.
So backing that trend, he's one of those players that loves to score against teams that he it's the same teams he always scores his goals against,
he's
right?
consistent with it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm backing the trend. I think he'll be the best person to go for captain.
Yeah. A lot of other games I was looking at. Every week Luton plays a team and I'm like, could the opposition go for like 20, 30 points?
Yeah.
And Buemo might be on the cards for that. But this week, you know, Jono's off the channel. I keep going back to that. You know, the one thing I liked about having a Chelsea fan on this channel was that he would have to live with the torture of watching Chelsea play. But turns out I've watched more Chelsea games than him this season. Okay? So with that being said, knowing how bad Chelsea are, with an injury crisis to the fullbacks and a suspension crisis nowadays as well, I'm going for Evan Ferguson because I think they're going to get absolutely burned down either wing.
Yeah.
And the service for Evan Ferguson will be immaculate. You know, Brighton are great at cooking up goals. I've seen it week in, week out at the start of the season. Slowed down a little bit, but 6 goals this season for Evan Ferguson. Almost a goal every 90 minutes, 110 minutes.
Yeah.
This is a guy that needs to take that next step. And if he scores against Chelsea, I'll be all for it.
I mean, it's basically an open net these days.
I know. You know, mid-table teams.
I know.
Can't relate.
Yeah.
Can't relate. Anyways, if you're a fan of a non-mid-table team, we might cover your team. Unless you subscribe and I can cover more games. I'm losing my voice. Jadon Sancho is playing FOT champs. FC champs, whatever they call it. Stay tuned. Stay locked in. Saj, Param. That's it from Lockdown Sports.
See ya.
How was that?
Yeah, good.
Jono?